All right, welcome back to your first Chrono Trigger speedrun. We just took out the Golem twins and Chrono. Unfortunately, we lost Chrono. And Lavos came and destroyed the Kingdom of Zeal. And so this is where we're left off. We get the pendant back, and we're going to do a party of Luca, Ayla, Robo. So yeah, the first thing you're asked is what party. So we're going to do Luca, Ayla, Robo. This order matters because we're going to do some weird stuff in the Blackbird that requires Ayla to be in the second position. So just know that. It's very important. All right, so first thing we're going to do is come up here to the shop. And we're going to reload on some things. We're going to 11 shelters, 11 Athenians, and then the rest are high potions. Yes, we want to spend all our money. That'll be important later, because we're not going to get our money back on the ship. And so we're just like, well, you can keep it. We just had 200 gold left. It's fine. All right, village commons here. And we're going to talk to this old guy. And then Dalton's going to show up. He's going to kidnap us. And then we're going to escape the Blackbird in a really fast and slick way. All right, so we wake up in the Blackbird. We don't know it's the Blackbird, but we're going to walk outside and see that we're on the Blackbird. Just turboing through all the dialogue. I like to just turbo through here. Oh, we're on the Blackbird. And then you can keep turbo on and come down here, and as you come down the steps, Ayla's going to be like, air goes here. And then you can just turbo right into that. You can turn it off coming up here. There's one more dialogue there, and then you want to turn off turbo because every area here you can look through the grate, and we don't want to be wasting time looking through the grates here. So anyways, this pathing I should talk about is very particular. We're coming up here, we're going right, we're going up, going left to the first intersection, and then all the way up, and then to the left, and then we're going to be on the ship. So we're going to come in here, and right away, as fast as you can, you want to turn this switch to go the other way. And that way we can kind of avoid that guy there. Yeah, so he's going to come back down. So anyways, we're going to go in this room, and we're going to have a fight. Luca and Robo don't have weapons, but thankfully Ayla has a fist. So she doesn't need a weapon. So this is the reasoning why we put Ayla in the number 2 slot. We're going to cat attack this guy to take it out, and then auto battle. And what happens is these guys can't get to Ayla because Luca and Robo are blocking the way. It's kind of a silly glitch. So yeah, if you auto battle this out, that'll be easy. So if Ayla's not in that spot, then they can obviously get to her, so it's just less safe. But yeah, either way, you just auto battle after the cat attack. So all right, this chest is our inventory, not to be confused with our existing weapons and gear or gold, which you would usually collect all 3 of those on the ship. This happens to be right by the exit, and so we grabbed this, and then on purpose we left an air gun in our inventory. If you remember, way back after Zombor, we sold all the weapons except the air gun, and this is why, so that we could just have a gun. Because if Luca and Robo don't have weapons, they are not included in the fight, and they can't do anything for any fights. So Ayla keeps her fist, obviously, and then we did pick up a Kaiser arm in Ocean Palace, which is strikingly better than the tin arm that we already had in the inventory as well. But yeah, so we're going to do Kaiser arm. There is a bit of a menu here. It's a good time to sort. Anytime you sort, put shelter back up at the first spot. And then since Ayla usually takes damage on that fight, I just throw a mid potion on her as well. And then I like to check battle speed here. So we did battle speed 2 for Golem Twins. So yeah, you don't even need to check this. Like battle speed 2 on Dalton is just fine. You can do battle speed 1 if you want to be fast, but it's very unforgiving too. So for the purposes of the tutorial, I'll keep it on 2. It's very comfortable. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to come out here. It's going to ask us, here, I'll do it where it asks us. It's going to ask us, we didn't get all our equipment. Shouldn't we go back in and get the rest of our stuff? And we're like, nah, we don't need it. So we're just going to ignore that. And I like to avoid these guys. Yeah, you can avoid these guys. They do give, I believe, a lot of tech points. But it's obviously a time waste and they're not on the tech route. It's fine, we don't need them. Here you'll have this golem guy. He doesn't do anything. So he's supposed to be like, oh no, it's a super golem boss. But it turns out he's afraid of heights. So the fastest thing to do here is just to not do anything. And we're going to try to get Luca and Robo onto tech before the fight ends, which will be when, yeah, because everybody's on attack right now because of auto battle. So once he says, oh no, I'm scared, and then once he starts jumping, you want to try to hit Robo and Luca onto tech. So see if we can do it here. Right here. All right, I think I got it. Yeah, it's hard to get both of them. But even if you just get Robo on tech, that's going to be helpful for the Dalton fight. So, all right. So then Dalton does his spiel. He put wings on our time machine. So nice of him. He also put weapons on the time machine. It's too bad we don't use them more in this game. All right, so we're just turboing through here, all the dialogue. Once you start the Dalton fight, there's one more dialogue where Lucas says, you, I think? You, or something like that. Or he says that, I forget. And then we can start the fight. Oh, he says it. He says, you. All right. So this fight is just pretty scripted. If he gets a couple attacks in, it's not the biggest deal. Just don't let him get too many attacks in. We're gonna start with a fire tackle. I pop into Ayla has first ATB, so I pop into her thing just to do some auto battle. And I want to pop over to Luca right away to do a fire tackle. And then while that's happening, you want to pop over to Lapis because he's going to counterattack with the opposite element. And we want to heal everybody real quick. Then we're right into Ayla's ATB again. She's on item, so you go up to tech. And you just want to do a boulder toss. And then he'll counterattack on Ayla. And then finally, you just do one last fire tackle. And that's where Robo's ATB being on tech is important. Because you can just like pop right into that before you can get another attack off. And then he should be done. So yeah, pretty simple. Just trying to navigate it can be it's just a speed thing more than anything. So all right, so we get into the epoch. We got to hit a couple buttons here. So once they say press X, you hit your, well, I guess it depends on what controller you're using, but it's basically the same button that would shift the battle menu dialogue from up to down. And then it says try B, and so that's our turbo button. So I just start turboing at that point, and that will finish this cutscene here. So basically, we shot the Blackbird down. Whoops. Oh well. But yeah, the fun part is we get our equipment back. You don't get your gold back, but you get your equipment back automatically. So, and in fact, even though we equipped the airgun and the Kaiser arm, I believe you're auto-equipped with your old gear, and those go off you. So let's just double check that. Yeah, so she has her plasma gun back. He's got his Mirage hand back, and that's totally fine. In this case, Kaiser Arm is better than Mirage Hand, but it doesn't really matter at this point. So, you know, we're going for speed, so just keep that in mind. We don't even need to open that menu. It's just, I was just showing off how we get our equipment back equipped again. So anyways, just like the last time, we're going to come back in here, and this time instead of buying, we're going to sell a couple things, just 3 things. The Crimson Blade, the Kaiser Arm, and that's why we don't want to equip it on Robo, because it's 10,000 gold, and we really need that. And the Time Hat, which we picked up on the Mount Woe. What this does is make sure we have enough gold for to buy the jerky and the side quests, which is coming up later. And then later on, you also need 30,000 gold to finish the minigame to get the clone faster. And so between this and whatever fights we do before we do that minigame, we should have plenty for 30,000 gold. So just those 3 items is all you need to sell. Now, I think if you come back in Village Commons, here's the plant lady. So this is the backup. You shouldn't usually need to come in here, but since we told her to burn it, burn the plant, we will say, oh, just kidding, just plant the plant. But yeah, usually if you tell her that in the palace, then you don't have to come back in here and do it there. So, all right, now before we go anywhere, in fact, I don't think it'll let you go anywhere until we go get Magus. So we're gonna get some backstory here about Magus, some cutscenes. I'll just fast forward through some of this. Okay, about this time you see where Magus showed up in 600 AD. At that point, it's a good time to stop turboing, or at least get ready to stop turboing, because you don't want to turbo through and say yes to fighting Magus. If you do that, you're gonna have to watch all this. You're gonna have to Alt F4 and do this cutscene again. But yeah, basically, you're looking for Magus saying, "Play with fire, you're gonna get burned." Luca does her gun brandish, and says "pig," and then the next dialogue is "you wish to fight me," and so you want to make sure you say no, and then you can walk away and hold turbo, and he'll join you instead. Magus is pivotal to this route for 100%, so we definitely want him on our team. All right, first thing you're gonna do is name Magus, and then you're gonna do Luca, Magus, Marley for the party. Now that we have the party and we have Magus, we can leave. As soon as we get in here, though, it's a cutscene, so you can hold turbo. Basically, the Ocean Palace is going to rise and become the Black Omen. And then on top of that, because this is a PC version, this is when the Lost Sanctum quests open up as well. And so it'll show like these 2 portals in 600 AD and 65 million BC opening up as well. And Marley and the party basically comments on, oh yeah, what's going on there and what's going on here, and then it's like, we got to help our world. It's the last line basically. You're clear to start the side quest. There's Lost Sanctum, the other Lost Sanctum. No, if you turbo right here, you'll land again, so we don't want to be turboing through that. So instead we're gonna head to the Middle Ages, so up 1, and we're gonna kick off the side quest. At this point, we are through the main story of the game, and it's all side quests, and so this is all very much routed in an efficient manner. So first thing we're gonna do is talk to this guy in the tavern. 1 dialogue, pop back in. Oops, pop back into the epoch, and then we're going up to the end of time. When you get to the end of time, the default is to take off, but we want to get off. So you have to go down to get off. You're going to talk to Gaspar. And when he's done talking to you, you're going to have to leave again to get him to talk again. And again, we're going to touch the Lavos bucket instead of trying to actually go across the room to leave. Then he says, hey, and then we're back to talk to him again. Then he'll give us the Chrono Trigger, which we'll need later. And we can continue the side quests. Okay, our next stop, back on the Epoch, take off, and we're going to the present. So 1000 AD. Down 3. Now, we come to the present a couple times, so you wanna remember what we're doing at each one. So this first time we come to the present, we are going to Luca's house to get a new Tabin suit for her from her dad. And then, yeah, also be careful. So where you land here is sometimes very close to Luca's house. You can show that this is the indicator for getting on the Epoch as well as the indicator for going in Luca's house. So you want to make sure you're just on the Epoch there. Gonna come down to Poor, and we're gonna buy this very expensive jerky for later. You have to wait till this guy comes over to you, and then he's like, spicy jerky, 9,900 gold. So you take it, you get a dialogue. You hear the ding, and you can leave. So no other dialogue needed. So that leaves us with about almost 20,000 gold, just shy. And then we're going to come to the right, slightly up, and we're going to go to Toma's gravestone. Now, usually in the quests, you interact with Toma, you do a bunch of quests, and at the end, he says, hey, pour this out on my gravestone, or something like pour this soda pop or beer or whatever on my gravestone. We're not going to do that here. We're not even interacting with Toma. Where the Toma quest stuff is to like open up a cave, and there's a silly thing that if you just know where the cave is, you can go there. We'll get to that later. But anyways, we're gonna go behind his gravestone because there's an extra speed capsule in there. All right, then we're coming down, and we're going to go to this place and talk to this builder guy. He's talking to the barkeep at first, and then he'll say, oh, you want to borrow my tools? Sure, why not? So this is why we go to 600 AD first, because he won't know what you want. We won't know what we want until we've already talked to the 600 AD guy who says I don't have any tools. So, but you don't have the tools yet. So you have to go to his residence and talk to his wife, where she complains about her husband not doing any work, but says, sure, here's his tools. So, yeah, that's the whole thing. So yeah, so from there, we're gonna go back to 600 AD. We're gonna pop into the same guy that we did earlier. He's gonna say, oh, are those carpentry tools? Might you be willing to lend them to me for a while? And you say yes. And then you can actually leave before his dialogue finishes and beat him. But he's somehow at his house first. So anyways, talk to him at the house. And then he's going to go repair this castle up north. Yeah, so anyways, we're going to park the Epoch up there for the first time. And then he's going to say, well, we repaired some, but there's some ghosts in the way. And so we have to take out these ghosts before he can continue. All these ghost fights are Magus doing fire 2. It should kill. But when they die, they all have a chance to do either a damage counterattack or a MP bust. And so we'll just have to manage that as we go. So fire 2. Okay, no counterattack, that's nice. And then from here we can turbo it. No counterattack. Gonna laugh if it's no counterattack again. Okay. There's the Grudge that does some HP damage. MP Bust. Okay. Note, here, if we get the MP Bust here, it's fine. We don't have to do anything. If you get the MP Bust on the previous two fights, you have to give Magus a mid-ether, so he can finish the fights. Also, if Magus gets hit and dies on this last fight, well, if Magus gets hit on any of the fights, you want to mid-potion him. But if Magus gets hit and dies on this fight, he will need an extra elevator fight, potentially for XP. Not for TP, but for XP. Alright, so we're here. We're going to change the party to Frog, Luca, Robo. And then it's also good. You saw how Luca got hit on that first fight, so we're going to high potion her, just to make sure she's at a good spot. And then we're going to go talk to the dude. This time we're not going to take the epoch, it's just faster to walk down here. And then he's going to finish repairing. Now, of course, if you're playing this casually, he's only repaired up through the left side. And so he's like, well, we tried repairing more, but we couldn't. But we don't care about anything on the right side. So this is our last time repairing stuff. We're just going to come down here and do Frog's side quests. This is a turbo ether, which is good to grab. Not required, but good to grab. And then turbo, auto toggle turbo through Frog's cutscene here with Cirrus and his Mazamune 2 upgrade. Alright, once he's done flashing the sword around, we can leave. And we got Frog's quest done. First side quest fully done. So we're going to pop right into the epoch. And we're going up left to Ozzy's hideout here. No need to do anything, just pop right in, and we're going to interact with Ozzy here. The next couple fights are Flea and Slash again, and they're pretty much pushovers. It's just a fire tackle and 2 to 3 frog hits. If Frog crits, it's 2. If Frog doesn't crit, it's 3 frog hits. And he's on Berserk still. 2 text boxes here. Oh, 1 text box there. Slash has 2. Alright, so we're just going to throw a fire tackle in. Frog's already gotten 2 hits in, as you can see. And he got a crit, so that was it. This one's a dummy fight. I just hold turbo for this. Okay, and then we got the Slash fight, which is the exact same as the Flea fight. But 2 text boxes once Ozzy leaves. Easy peasy. All right, so before you go to the next room, we're changing our party here. We want Ayla and Marley. So Frog, Ayla, Marley. These are all 3 people that we want down at low health. And so we're going to use that to our advantage because Ozzy will get us all to low health here. So yeah, come up and pick this chest, and then as you can see, all 3 of these characters are now at 1 health. That's going to be key for later. Do not heal them. Alright, you come into this. Yeah, if you didn't know, this is a secret room here. There's a magic capsule, and then some gear of Magus's. And we're going to grab that, and we're going to leave. Do not go in this room up here yet, because we are not prepared for that yet. We're going to come back and do that fight later. So yeah, you'll leave, you'll come out here, and then we're gonna switch the party immediately to Luca, Magus, Robo. It should kind of line up if you did everything right there. And then we're gonna shelter. And then you're gonna speed capsule 2 on Magus. Pop in here, we're going directly south, and this is the spot where we will go to the Tyranno lair in 600 AD. I think that's a good stopping point for this video. I was talking about earlier, if you did the Toma quest, like this would show a cave here. It doesn't show a cave here, but we can still pop in here. And so that's kind of how that works, basically. It's kind of a silly thing. But yeah, we'll continue here on the next video.